walking through this narrow valley that's rising into the clouds, and the crags on either side, Lurcher's Crag, so dour, looming out of this gloam above you. It's so atmospheric. I'm Lee Craigie.
And I'm Jenny Graham.
And over the next 6 days, we're taking you on a slow trip from source to sea along the River Dee. We're camped just below the pools of Dee, high in the Cairngorms. It's not the exact source of the river. The exact source is at the wells of Dee, high up on the plateau above us, on the top of Bray Riach. But on the day that we're starting, the weather is foul. It is blowing a hoolie and it is so cold, and the thought of taking bikes and packrafts up onto the plateau in weather like this, it just wouldn't actually be safe. And today we're going to leave this windy, barren spot below the corrie, and we're going to follow the river down to Braemar, and then we're going to put on the water and we're going to paddle to Balmoral, and then we're going to ride some more, and we're going to do that on and off over the next 5 days until we reach Aberdeen. And along the way there'll be some schools in Aboyne and in Aberdeen who are going to be matching our miles online, so that we can all share the joy that can be found in just being active outside every day.
Calling in from the pools of Dee. Ready? We're not in the sink, we're in the pools. This isn't a sink.
Just as we were approaching the pools of Dee, our highest point, we've been pushing for about 3 hours. The heavens just opened and everybody got really, really wet. And it was hard going, you're pushing your bike up and over big lumps and rocks, and there's nothing rideable here. And then we've got these packrafts strapped to the front, and so that made life quite a lot harder. Also, along the way, our good friend Julie Fowlis, wonderful singer-songwriter from Inverness, is going to be following us in musical terms. So she's going to be writing music for us and the River Dee as we journey along it, using the incredible words of Nan Shepherd, who was well known in these parts, a poet and an author who roamed these mountains all her life.
So, without sediment, run the clear burns of my country, fiercely pure, transparent as light.
We're in our tents now. We've had a cup of tea and things feel quite a lot more like home. And I'm reading Nan Shepherd, actually, The Hill Burns, a poem written in the Cairngorms. Nan Shepherd writes so vividly about the wild and these big dark voids and unfathomable fire and terror and blackness and upheaval. And then she talks about leaping from that, the clear burns, the living water, like some pure essence of being, invisible in itself, seen only by its movement. So out of this darkness, out of this difficulty and this struggle and this toil, just springs forth life itself. And it just really got me thinking about that is what we're doing here. Like, why is it that we take ourselves out of the comfort of our homes where it's warm and dry and we've got everything that we need to come out here to connect with what is it that drives us out here into this fire and terror and blackness and upheaval? And I'm sitting here in my tent with the rain pattering and the wind blowing, and I'm thinking, well, this is where I feel alive. And so I just wondered if that's what she means. Like, Nan Shepherd talks a lot about living life all the way through, and just thinking, is that why we put ourselves in the harsh, dark, cold, wild places to then come out the other side into the light, to feel something, to feel connected, to feel understood, humbled, energised, satisfied? I don't know, but I know that that's how it feels for me. And if I get caught up in living life fast and insulated against the elemental, against the essence of me, then I just feel depressed. And so I'm in a bit of a bind, eh? Got to come out here and do this stuff in order to feel. Yeah.
Waking up for me and just that first little unzip of the door and seeing your view, just that top corner of the arc, and then just looking out and seeing what your view is today. I really like that. And because we're camped right on the river, just getting up and washing, like we both went for a duke, didn't we? It's deep enough that you can get your whole body into it. We're Jenny and Lee, cycling and paddling along the River Dee from source to sea, carrying our packrafts and tents on our bikes and taking it slow.
So yeah, I think today we should practice the not rushing away from the space, not trying to fill the space, just going with it and taking time to notice. And when we stop, if somebody points out something interesting or we have a thought, let's just stop and explore it. We have the time. There is no stress. We don't need to be anywhere, and we just need to let go of that, and then let's just see what happens.
I hope your family are listening to this.
It was just an intention.
It's after midday on day 2. And we've got to the Old Dee Bridge. We're in a little get-on point just beneath it, downstream from it, in this shingly beach. And Lee has started blowing up her packrafts. There's a tiny little rapid. How are you feeling? This is like the first time we're going to get on the river.
Yeah. Oh, it feels nice, doesn't it? I think it's time for a wee change. And you know how automatically you just get on the river and everything feels different and smells different and tastes different. If you're unlucky, just totally changed.
So we're just sitting at the top of this little drop that Lee has already scouted out without all the bikes and boat fully laden. And now she has got the bike strapped to the front of her boat, she's got her bags on it, and she is off. So I'm actually a little bit of a scaredy cat when it comes to stuff like this, but Lee's quite a good paddler. So let's see how she manages, and she's down. Woohoo! Oh, she's got a look of... Is that okay? Is that a good look? Oh, I am absolutely cacking it. Right, okay. I can do this. I can do this. I mean, I'm petrified, but I've already swum in here. Should have put my helmet on. Should have put my helmet on! Should have put my helmet on! Woo! Yay! Holy moly! I'm out of here, losers!
A bit of a bottom scrapery start to this paddle down the Dee. But now we're through that, and it's got deeper and narrower, and the pressure's off, everything's just relaxed, everything's gone quiet. And either side us is pretty thick growth of Scots pine. And we know this place, like from the other side of these Scots pine are bike tracks and roads that we know really well, and yet I've never been in this spot before, seeing it from this angle. I feel pretty privileged, because not everybody gets to see Scotland from the inside out. That's sort of what it feels like.
It's day 2, still remarkably day 2. It's been a long day. Last time we checked in, we'd just gone down that very scary rapid, we survived.
But those butterflies are important. That popping yourself just outside your comfort zone, that is the important stuff, because unless you do that, then you don't have that lovely feeling in the morning of, oh, I'm still alive.
I survived.
Well done, me.
I'm ready to go to bed.
Yeah, it's late.
It is late.
It's gone all dusky, hasn't it? Morning! Lots of water about this morning, from above and below. So I have now got up and all my kit is hanging from various trees and drying, and I'm looking up into a really wooded part of our descent out of the mountains. It's still hilly around here. You can't see the big mountains anymore, but you can still see the hills, the more rolling hills of Ballater, and they're all covered in there's some really lovely mixed trees down by the river. I'm looking at rowan and birch and oak, and it's overcast. So I'm quite grateful for this little breeze, because without it I think I'd be being munched by midges. And I'm actually quite looking forward to today. I'm excited about meeting the kids. We just need to roll down the Deeside Way about 4 miles to get to Dinnet, and we're going to meet some kids at Dinnet, and they're going to ride with us. I mean, what a great morning. This is lovely to have some company, really nice.
Fresh blood.
Yeah, I've had enough of listening to Jenny now.
Hi, how are you? It's good.
Is it fun?
It is so much fun. You live in a beautiful river, you know that? The River Dee. It's the place to be. That's going to be our chant. It's the River Dee. It's the place to be. Yeah, for sure.
Where are you trying to get to today?
Not that far.
You have enough time.
And we've got loads of time. So this is the big challenge for us, because we all like to ride really long distances. Then we're slowing things right down and taking all day to do not very much mileage, but having the best time along the way.
When did you sleep last night?
So we slept just outside Ballater, by the river, down by the river.
And where are you planning to sleep tonight?
So we're going to find somewhere that we can only get to by river. So like find somewhere that's sort of away from walking trails.
Yeah.
Oh, this feels good. On my front handlebars is strapped a dry bag with a folded up packraft in it. And underneath my saddle I've got a seat pack, another dry bag sort of slung from the rails of my saddle. And then on my forks, I've got strapped to my forks a jet boil stove. So in there is my cooking pot and a little gas canister, so I'm completely able to look after myself nutritionally. On my back I've got a big 30-litre rucksack. I've got a very, very skinny, cold, single skin tent and a sleeping bag and a blow-up mattress. It's such a nice feeling to be moving. Just dispels all of that static energy that builds up in a body. We come out here to forget stuff and to remember the important stuff. Mm-hmm. And the more that we can remove from the clutter of our brains, the more likely we are to remember, to understand what it is that makes us really happy, and not the superfluous stuff that you can buy and consume and surround yourself with that makes us happy. But it is uncomfortable to begin with, I think, sometimes, that leaving all of your stuff and your people and your comforts and putting yourself out there into what is going to be more challenging. But almost as soon as you're out there, that understanding comes. very important that you dig a hole, and I dig a hole that unsettled me, toppled me over backwards into some nettles. Bare bottom.
Wait a minute, you dig a hole the unsettled way.
I dug a hole and it sort of
Unsettled you.
unsettled me.
Because you dug it, you put your... Oh, I see. So you almost dug it backwards, like you went in behind
Went
where
into
the
the
hole was
hole.
going to be,
Yeah.
and dug it that way. Wow.
Little swifts, isn't it?
I think they're... Are they not pine martens?
Pine martens are
Or swallows?
Or mammals.
Not pine martens. What are they called? House martens. We're so in touch with nature.
Pine martens flying through the sky.
Somewhere in Scotland.
Okay, cut. It's day 4. Source to sea. A slow journey along the River Dee. With us, Lee Craigie
And Jenny Graham. It's day 4.
It's day 4.
We're both here.
We're both here. And here is beautiful.
Here is absolutely stunning.
We rolled out of town quite late last night, having resupplied at a shop, and just followed our noses down. Oh,
Fish.
no fish. Just followed our noses down this road that led to a whole load of fishing beats down by the Dee, just outside of Boyne. And at 11 o'clock at night, when you're trying to find a camp spot, you're just ready to take anything. But this is beautiful, isn't it?
Absolutely gorgeous.
I can see why fishermen like this stretch of the Dee. It's so flat and still and deep, like there's all these deep sort of swirling dark pools where you just imagine fish. If I was a fish, I'd love to hang out in these pools. And all down here and all on the other side. Late last night, it was dusk, the moon was coming up and there were fishermen popping up all over the place to get on the river. We're like, what is going on? And we'd pitched our tents and we're just watching this unfold. And then 2 guys arrived and were quite adamant that we were doing something wrong. We're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And there was this real interesting sort of sense of entitlement from them that they owned this stretch of the river and that we shouldn't be here. And it was quite aggressive, it was quite jarring. And it took a moment for Jen and I just to try and tweak that a bit because, we didn't want to meet them with the same kind of level of anger. They're very welcome here too, but so is everybody. And they just needed to have the access code explained to them. And then they were fine, they were lovely, and they walked off and they did their midnight fishing. But they also said, just, okay, fine, but leave no trace, be sure to not make a mess. I'm like, well, of course, that goes without saying, that we'll not leave a mess. But there was a lot of assumptions made about how it was that we were accessing this space, and it put my back up a bit.
It reminds me the whole way down, actually, when, because this has been sitting with me, the inequality between the sort of spaces that people can buy. And so I'd been thinking about Norman McCaig and his poem, and he's actually talking about Assynt, so it's the man in Assynt. But some of his words are, who owns this landscape? The millionaire who bought it, or the poacher staggering down the hill in the early morning with a deer on his back? Who possesses this landscape? The man who bought it, or I who am possessed by it? And it is that different way of using the landscape, isn't it? And there has to be a place for everyone, hasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those guys have absolutely as much right to be here as we do. And actually, I should retract some of that, because even although it was said in an aggressive, patronising way, be sure and not leave any rubbish, he meant it because he cared for the place.
That's so true. Yeah. And he had one look at us. We've been on the road for a few days now. He had one look at us and our bike set up and our tents sort of sprawled across the place, and he just made a judgment that we were scallywags.
And we are scallywags, but I'm not sure that that's a reason for us not to be here.
Yeah. Another dipper.
How many days have you been biking and kayaking?
Oh, how many days?
Oh, it feels like about a year, to be honest.
Feels like a long time. Since what day is today?
Thursday.
Thursday, right. So we all met each other on Sunday morning. So how many days is that we've been travelling for? 5 days.
We've not had a shower for 5 days.
We've not stayed in the house for 5 days.
Where have you been staying at?
Where have we been staying?
We've been sleeping in tents. So on these bikes we've got tents.
And kayaks.
And kayaks. I mean, what haven't we got on those bikes? Source to Sea. A journey along the River Dee.
When I get home from trips like this, as in trips of staying under canvas or in a bivvy bag or whatever under the sky, that I seriously feel, it's like a physical feeling of suffocation when I walk through the door and I'm surrounded by all the stuff. And there's a word for it, it's stuffocation.
That's a great word.
And there's a theory that the bigger the house or the bigger the wardrobe or the bigger the cabinets or the more the boxes you get, the more stuff you'll find to fill them. I just pulled out a can of flipping pineapple chunks this morning. It's like, I would have never bought that if I didn't have that gigantic rucksack. I'm like, I'll have a tin of them and I'll have a tin of them. Our clothes that we've taken on this trip is a great example. So because we were coming over the mountains on the first day, I took an extra jumper with me. But I've basically, got a pair of cycling bibs that I try and wash every day. And I've got my sleeping leggings that I switch between. And that's the only two things, I've got for my bottoms. And I've got waterproof shorts, mountain biking shorts. And that's fine. Like, I could go another few weeks like this. I'm never like, oh, I wish I had another pair of trousers. It's just you make two sets of things.
So I do wish I had a different t-shirt to wear when we meet those kids tomorrow. I smell.
I mean, you do smell, but I'm okay. And that's a really basic thing, but it's something that people can get caught up in, that you need outfits for different things like work, or if you're going out for dinner, or if you're going to the pub. And actually, there's another way of being. And Jenny here, we have just found Nan Shepherd's plaque, which feels so lovely. It is just on the back of a garage, but it's quite nice that, she's recognised, and it feels lovely that we started thinking about her and, coming up through the Lara Grey, and now there's a reminder of her again. So, very good.
Run, the clear birds, run. Clear the birds, run, run.
A big part of our journey is about inspiring other people to do the same as us. It doesn't need to be a huge, big effort in the hills. It could be a bike ride to the shops, or even a wee explore over a fence on the way back from school.
A hill near the school and then climb over a fence. Done.
But you're not allowed to. So
Mad.
that is crazy, isn't it? And I can't get my head around that. And after P4 they're allowed to walk.
I'm going into primary 4.
Are you? So will you walk home from school once you're in primary 4?
With me.
With you?
Yeah, you can pick up your sister. And
Are you allowed to do that with
that's
your
good.
siblings?
No, I don't think. I'm not sure that'll be allowed. I think.
Yeah, you are.
Are you?
Because Ruby's brother picks Ruby up sometimes.
That would certainly be helpful and very good for you.
Who doesn't want that independence?
I know, and the adventures you can have on the way home from school when you don't have to take your parents with you.
I know.
Exactly. I know, it's all the chat as well.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It is the final day, at about 8:30 in the morning, and we are in Aberdeen. We're outside a bit of a grim Asda McDonald's complex. It's very built up, very urban, lots of glass and concrete and metal everywhere, and it just all feels a little bit strange. But we've got plenty of time, which feels quite nice. So the river's not far away, and we're just gathering ourselves. We're going to have some breakfast and just have a little think about what it is that we want to communicate today, because there's going to be quite a lot of media around, and it just feels really important to be able to communicate effectively what our message has been, like why we've done this Source to Sea trip. And I suppose when I really think hard about it, we did this because we love it. We did it to show how much we love it, how much fun can be had, so much joy that travelling self-propelled can bring. But also to show that not everybody necessarily has the means to do that. You know, not everybody has green space that they can just walk out their front door and explore. They don't have these safe places that they can walk and ride bikes. And what a shame, you know, let alone bikes and packrafts. You know, they might not even have access to the modes to do this stuff, let alone the green space. And so it just felt really important to, one, show that joy and get people thinking about how they can insert that joy into their daily lives by substituting the journeys that they'd normally take enclosed in a metal moving vehicle, and just show what else is out there, but not just if you choose to make the time for it, because it's not always as easy as that. Tell the people that make the decisions about how our shared spaces are structured what we need in order to have that time and space to connect with that joy and that real true essence of us as humans.
This is Jenny's mic, and we're sitting on the banks of the Dee just as we're coming into Aberdeen.
This is Lee, just about to put on the water in Aberdeen.
How are you feeling, Lee?
I'm feeling quite tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. Like, I think, you know, that way when you don't feel tired at all, even though you're not sleeping very much and you're eating badly and you're on the move the whole time because you're sort of going somewhere. And now I feel like we've almost reached the sea, and so the pace is slackening, and with it all of my energy and adrenaline and enthusiasm for the trip. So I'm feeling a little bit kind of deflated, I suppose.
Yeah. I have sort of the same kind of feelings as you today. But I tell you what's going to change us around now, Lee, is that we have a bunch of primary school kids from 2 different schools in Aberdeen that have come along with Adventure Aberdeen and the Active Schools coordinators, and they are getting on just downstream of us, and they have got flotillas and canoes.
Look!
And oh my
There
god,
they
they're
are!
actually there! They can totally see us! Oh man! That says just got on the water!
And the sun's just come out. I'm feeling a bit chirpier now.
Yeah, that was a real moan we had, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I mean,
I'm glad
it's
you
not that.
acknowledged that, though, because I was definitely feeling it too.
Were you? This really is a very silly thing to do when you look at it objectively. Strapped a massive mountain bike to the front of my tiny inflatable boat, and I'm paddling down the River Dee. What dafty. That looks fun.
Hello there! How are yous?
You look like you're having fun. Is this, are you rafted up together? So there's three of you? Oh, nice. That's a good plan, isn't it? You having fun?
You're probably not going to die.
I just thought of the importance of us starting away up in the pools of Dee, and how important it is for us to go back, like strip our life back a bit and go back to that place where there are no other outside influences, where it is really wild, where it's just ourselves, you know, and then we can get back on the river. We can always get back on the river. The river is not going anywhere.
Source to Sea is a Tandem Production in association with the Adventure Syndicate.
The music was specially written for us by Julie Fowlis, and we're grateful to the Audio Content Fund for their support.
Run, the clear burns, run. Clear the burns, run, run. From the gaunt heights they tumble through the unknown, running home. Run, the clear birds, run. Clear the birds, run, run. From the dark heights they thunder through the unknown to the sea. So, without sediment, run the clear burns of my country, fiercely pure, transparent as light, gathered into its own unity, lucent and without colour or green, like clear deeps of air, like clear deeps of air, like clear deeps, like clear deeps of air. And far below, where the dark waters of Echtjagan are wont to glint, an unfathomable void, out of these